So, hi, good morning. So, what was the last topic? I think we need to start with the socio-religious practices during society during later Vedic period. Mention. Society during later Vedic period. So now understand that we have already discussed the polity and the society of the previous time. Okay? Society of the previous time, meaning that early Vedic period. So what we mentioned in the beginning, that Rigved, okay, was the first Vedic composition in this age. And when Rigved was composed, so Rigved, if we see the Rigved in totality, so there are 10 chapters. We call chapters, but actually it is not called as chapter, mandal. So Rigved is divided into 10 mandals, and all the 10 mandals were not written in the early Vedic age. So mandal number 2 to 7, they were the oldest, and they were composed in the early Vedic period. But then comes the mandal 1, 8, 9 and 10. They were in the later Vedic age. Now it is in the mandal number 10 where Purusha Shukta theory is mentioned. Right? So in mandal number 10, Purusha Shukta theory is mentioned, and under the Purusha Shukta theory, it has been said to divide the society on the basis of the birth, and by, we can say that by birth division of the profession. Okay? So it mentioned by birth division of the profession, and that's what we call that division on the basis of ascription. Then what is this division? So Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, that's what we call Varna Vyavastha. Then now, so there was further explanation which is given that who are they, how their emergence has happened. So as written in the Vedic text, the Brahmins, then they believe to be emerging from the mouth of the primeval man. Then so primeval means Adi Brahma. Then so they are emerging from the mouth of the primeval man, and at the same point of time, the other one. Kshatriyas emerge from the chest and soldier's point of the that body of the primeval man, and then Vaishyas emerge from the thighs, and so as Sudras emerge from the feet. So at this point of time, that these all four concepts which are given, they are parts of the body. And whose body? Adi Brahma. Then, so Shudra does not meant at this point of time untouchable. Okay? In fact, the belief was that these are four body parts, all of them will have to function in coordination to sustain. Then, so that's what it all started. But then later on, this Varna Vyavastha, it went into the direction of the further discrimination, and then it has led to the emergence of the caste system also in the later ages. So this is the very first instance. Then the normal discussion that is there, which is position of the women in the society and the other things we'll be talking about then. But then also the new rituals which have been introduced in the Hinduism, that also we need to mention. So एक बार लिखो, society during later Vedic period. Mention in the 10th mandal of Rigved. In the 10th mandal of Rigved, under Purush Shukta, under Purush Shukta, it was under Purush Shukta, it was maintained to divide, it was maintained to divide the society society on the basis of by birth profession, by birth profession. Then mention. So as per Purushukta Brahman, as per Purushukta Brahman, from mouth of primeval man. And in what works he will be indulged in? So intellectual work. Then comes Kshatriya. Emerged from shoulders and chest. Of primeval man. And what is their work? Protection. Protection and ruling class. Then Vaishya. So Vaishya emerged from thighs of primeval man. Okay? So I'm not writing complete kar lena. Thighs of primeval man, and his work is service, trade, commerce. And then comes the last one, Shudra. Emerged from feet of primeval man and manual labor. Physical work. Then, so this is how the things were mentioned in the Rigveda, 10th mandal of Rigveda, but in later Vedic period, not in the early Vedic age. Then, so later on what has happened, that this is the concept of the Varna system, and then after from the Varna what emerged? The caste system. But for caste to emerge, there was one more concept which was consolidated, not now, but after that age of the Buddha. That was the concept of the purity and pollution, okay? Because of which the caste rigidity developed. Then, so for the time being, this was the system. Then, now let's come to the status of the women in the society, and we'll go into the other things also. So, status of the women in the society, it was declining little bit. Okay? So, the status which was there in the earlier time. So, for example, that women did not enjoy any political right at this time. Why so? Because those two assemblies which they were part, now they are no more. Then, so Sabha has lost its relevance and Vidat has completely disappeared. Okay? So they don't enjoy any political right. Then when it comes to their economic rights, okay? So not economic, sorry, that educational rights. So their educational rights were still, it was still intact. So they were allowed to participate in the educational discourse, debates and discussion, and the best example of this age was Gargi. Okay? So Vidushi Gargi, in fact, one of the very popular intellectual debate of this time was debate between Gargi and Yagyavalkya. Then So there was a big congregation in which the debate and discussion was going on, and it was Gargi who was asking some of the uncomfortable questions to the Yagyavalk. Then came a time when Yagyavalk has said to the Gargi that if she asks a next question, her head would be cut. Then like a diligent student, she did not ask any questions. She kept mum then, and but then finally it was just that Yagyavalk was testing that if she is eligible to be the good disciple, that eligible to be a good disciple. Now what happened? That after the debate was over, everything was over. So he hailed Gargi. He appreciated that the only intellectual person, okay, in this assembly was the Gargi, and then she asked her questions without any fear. But at the same point of time, she also maintained the discipline. So this is the one example. So educational discourses were available to women. Then when it comes to marriages, so marriage scenario was also deteriorating. Love marriage was no more allowed. Gandharva marriage was no more allowed. But then the widow remarriage under the Niyoga Vivaha Vyavastha, that was still allowed. Then so it is still in vogue. Then after, what about the other marriages? So many other type of the marriages also emerged, though they were not completely approved in the society, but it was happening. So for example, the examples of the Paisach Vivaha, Asur Vivaha, okay? So basically, these were the categories of the Vivaha or marriage in which women was captured forcibly, or they were pressurized to get married to anybody, okay? So these were there, and one of the best marriage at this point of time, which was called as Brahma Vivaha, okay? So Brahma Vivaha was basically that girl getting married to the priest, okay? So getting married to the priest and according to the wishes of the parents. So these all things have happened. Then what about the child marriage? So child marriage references we haven't found. Then that any reference of the child marriage we haven't found. So that's why we cannot comment on it. Then polygamy was still practiced, but then no more polyandry. Then there are two type of the marriages that I need to mention at this time. So just understand. They are called as Anulom Vivaha and Pratilom Vivaha. So Anulom marriage and Pratilom marriage. So have you heard about it? Anulom Vivaha or Pratilom Vivaha. What is Anulom? High caste? चलेगा ठीक है this is anulom vivah then so meaning basically actually marriage in those times it was always seen from the perspective of a girl then so parents always wanted or that the families always wanted that their girls must be married to a higher class ठीक है or varna upper than theirs then so a lower caste women if she gets married to a higher caste man that was accepted in the society. Okay? So that was accepted in the society. But Pratilom Vivah is the one in which higher caste women, if she gets married to a lower caste man, so then that was not accepted. Okay? So both were there, but then this was not accepted and it often led to the exclusion of the married couple from the society. So likho isme mention that पैराग्राफ चेंज करके लिखना women did not enjoyed any political right at this time Sabha lost their former relevance and Vidhat was no more. Then mention after it. Educational discourses were still educational discourses were still open to women. Still open to women. The best example is Vidushi Gargi. Vidushi Gargi, who had an intellectual debate, with Rishi Yajnavalkya. You can see the spelling which I'm writing. Yajnavalkya. Though it's pronounced as Yagyavalkya, but this is how we write. Done. Then mention marriage पे आ जाओ. Widow remarriage was still allowed under Niyog Vivaha. There were no references to child marriage. Then mention. But many deteriorating type of marriages emerged at this time. Like Asur Vivah, Paisach Vivah, then Paisach Vivah, etc. Then mention further after it. Two more popular type of the marriages, not popular, two more type of marriages are. So now आप separately लिख लो, ठीक है? What will be writing here? Just 1 minute. So पहले लिखो अनुलोम. So in अनुलोम you write lower caste women getting married to upper caste man. Lower caste women getting married to upper caste man. It was allowed in the society. Then mention Pratilom Vivaha. And this you write. Upper caste women getting married to lower caste man. It was frowned upon in society. Often leading to social exclusion. Then, so often leading to social exclusion. Then, so let's come to the next part. After this marriage aspect. So the next discussion is ashram vyavastha. Have you heard about it? So ashram vyavastha. So ashram concept started to emerge at this point of time. पहले टाइटल ही लिख लो इसमें, आश्रम व्यवस्था. So now listen, that there are 4 stages of the ashram then, and these 4 stages of the ashram are called as brahmacharya, grihastha, okay, and vanaprastha and sannyas. So not all the 4 stages of the ashram were developed in the later Vedic age. The 3 were fully formalized, the first 3. Fourth one happened in the age of Buddha and Mahavir. Basically, what is it? 6th century BCE. So in between 1000 to 700, okay? So 1000 to, not 700, 600, okay? So this 3 stages are developing, and in between 600 to 500, the 4th one developed. Then, so what are these ashramas? So these ashramas, very first one that we call it brahmacharya. Abhi likho nahi, just let me explain. So brahmacharya. So brahmacharya is the first stage of the life in which after the birth, the children are given education. Okay? So this is the phase of the education, and then they will have to maintain celibacy also. Okay? So they will have to maintain celibacy also. So my question to you, that was brahmacharya only available to man or women? Both, obviously. So if educational discourse is open to women, so it is also for them. And as far as the celibacy is concerned, so this is the concept that both will have to maintain the celibacy. Okay? So brahmacharya was the very first stage. Then after the brahmacharya, the next stage is the grihastha. Okay? So grihastha stage is what? Family life. Okay? So after you have completed your education, you get married, and then you have to fulfill the responsibility of the marriage life. Okay? Then after the married life, the third stage is vanaprastha. Okay? So vanaprastha stage is the one in which partial retirement from the householder life happens. Okay? So people start seeking. So people start seeking that in seeking the service of the God, and then search of the enlightenment starts from there. Okay? So they will be going to that in old times. So this was a partial retirement in the forest. Vanaprastha ka matlab hi hota hai ki forest stage of the life. Then comes the last one, which got formalized in the age of the Buddha and Mahavir, that was the sannyas. So sannyas is a complete retirement from the householder life, and then this is the striving for the enlightenment. So finally you strive for the nirvana, kaivalya or moksha. Okay? So these are the 4 stages. Now, do you see that any such examples of this even in the contemporary life, that vanaprastha or grihastha, brahmacharya, grihastha? It's also that this is how it has been prescribed in the families. So grihastha ke baad then vanaprastha happens, okay? Because people, often you see that people when go into the 60s, they start subscribing to the God, moving to the Char Dham, this different places. So still it is there in the practice, not in the exact form when it started in the Vedic period, but then continuity is there. So continuity is there. And then, so sannyas also happens, okay? Sannyas also happens. So in one form or another form it exists. Then only the execution changes. So that is one part. Then after the ashram vyavastha, the next thing that we need to mention is basically gotra. Then, so gotra, though the concept of the gotra was already there, but now there are many rules and regulations related to the gotra were formulated. Then, so let's start with the gotra one. So what is originally the meaning of the word gotra? Originally what it means? So lineage from a common ancestor. Then, but what type of lineage? So that is important. Yep. Spiritual lineage. Okay? So this is basically not a lineage. जब simply सिर्फ lineage लिख दो तो generally जो दिमाग में बात आती है वो blood lineage की आती है. It is not about the blood lineage. It is the spiritual lineage to a common ancestor. I'll tell you how. Okay? But first of all, let's go into the prescriptions they have made. So now, at this point of time, the priestly class advised exogamy of the gotra in the matters of matrimonial alliance. So exogamy of the gotra in the matters of matrimonial alliance, meaning हिंदी में क्या बोलते हो, सगोत्रीय विवाह, ठीक है, और सगोत्रीय marriage must not be done. It's not like कि हो नहीं सकता, but then it is a prescription. तो prescription follow कर भी सकते हो, नहीं भी कर सकते हो. It was not a hard fast rule, first of all. Then so generally people were advised to refrain from the sagotriya vivaha, ठीक है. So what is sagotriya vivaha? That people belonging to the same gotra cannot, मतलब must not get married. So now, what is the reason behind it? First of all, that many a times, very often, people do define gotra with the concept of the cattle, ठीक है. So concept of the cattle, that it was said that actually it is on the basis of the cattle which is tied in the ashram of a particular rishi, people's gotra were decided. Then, but actually this is a secondary information. The primary information, let's go into the ancient times. So what is Ved? Ved is the divine revealings, okay? Divine knowledge. And as per the system, this divine knowledge is there in the universe. Then, but it is only with your own attributes, with your own devotion, with your own concentration and meditation, anybody can seek it. Okay? So anybody can seek it. So as it is said that from the Vedic times there were n number of the rishis then who had this kind of ability, who were through the meditation they were seeking this knowledge. Then, and once they are seeking the knowledge, they have got the knowledge of the Ved, so they are disseminating to the people. Then, so in the Indian system, it is said that knowledge is not final with the one person. Okay? So knowledge is not final with the one person. There could be many canons of the knowledge. Okay? You understanding? That there could be n number of the people who can gain that divine knowledge. कि ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ एक आदमी को chosen pick किया and that person has been given the knowledge. So anybody can seek that divine knowledge with their attributes. Then, so now what happened? That these rishis, have you heard about the initial concept of the Sapta Rishi? सुना होगा, नाम तो सुना होगा. तो what were the Sapta Rishis? Sapta Rishis are regarded as the first people who got the knowledge of this Vedas then, and they have disseminated to the people. And not just knowledge of the Vedas, but also those divine knowledges which are there. So now what happened? People started to follow. Suppose that there is a one Rishi whose name is Kashyap. Then, so Kashyap, and then influenced from him, people started to follow him. That is what is the spiritual genealogy, okay? Or spiritual lineage. So I started following Kashyap, you started following Kashyap. So in due regard to the Kashyap, what we do, that daily morning, okay? Cattle, since it was the very important wealth in the early Vedic time. So the very first proceed of the cattle milk was offered to the Kashyap, okay? So that's what the cow concept. It's not कि काऊ के नाम पे गोत्र बना दिया, ठीक है? So I hope you got that. So in reverence to that particular person, and moreover, that there was one more system that cows were generally that they were that in the evening time they were in a common stable, and that common stable belonging to the rishi, ठीक है? So that was also one thing, that they were all tied into a common stable. Then moreover, what happened? So why they are saying that there must be exogamy of the gotra? So according to them, okay, that generally we believe, thoda sa science you will have to understand. I hope that you know already that you know that the genetic lineage, okay? So what are the traits in your parents that you get it? Then, but then there is a knowledge lineage also. So you must have studied about two type of the things which gets in the body, innate and acquired. ठीक है? For example, जब immunity की बात आती है, तो immunity में भी ये दोनों होते हैं, innate and acquired. Then, so what is innate immunity in your body? अभी मैं वेद छोड़ रहा हूँ. I'm going into the medical science. Then, what is innate immunity? By birth. ठीक है? So can you tell me that some examples of those things which are there in the body? No idea? Immunoglobulins. Haven't you heard about IgM, IgG? ठीक है? So even the thyroid, बच्चों में होता है, ठीक है? So thyroid, not thyroid, ठीक है? The gland which is here, what is the name? thyroid gland, ठीक है? Pituitary is in the hair, ठीक है? So thyroid and this gland is only in the kids. जब बड़े होते हो खत्म हो जाता है, ठीक है? So that's why kids have much more that innate immunity, ठीक है? So they encounter many such diseases, but then at the same point of time, they are able to fight also easily. So that is innate immunity because of the immunoglobulins which are produced in the body. But then what is acquired immunity? COVID. ठीक है? You got the infection, ठीक है? And then that genetic code is there within you. ठीक है? So that genetic code is there within you, and then accordingly, ठीक है? So it is as it develops that your mortality decreases when you have acquired and you have successfully defended it. And so meaning that next time if it happens, so इतना issue नहीं होगा तुमको, ठीक है? Now ये तो medical science की बात हो गई. Now I'm just trying to bring it to the knowledge also. So now same is there with the knowledge. Knowledge is an acquired lineage also. It also gets transferred. It becomes the part of your genetics after some point of time. So if it in a certain tradition, ध्यान से समझना, if it in a certain tradition, a particular family is trained, generation after generation they practice the same thing because those knowledges are ingrained in that family and that goes into the genetics. So as you think, ठीक है? As you think, as you ponder, as you study, as you concentrate, same way your brain instructs the genetic codes. And there are the changes in your genetic codes. Then, so that's what is the spiritual lineage. Then, I hope you're getting. So now they have to say that they say that one must not limit oneself to one kind of knowledge. Then, and marriage is one great idea where the cross references happen, okay? So cross references happen, and when one gotra gets married to the other gotra, so then in the future progeny, the child has more probability to understand the two streams of the truth, okay? This is their perception, two streams of the truth or two streams of the knowledge. He's not just ingrained in one direction. So this was the prescription of those times. Then I hope you are getting, okay? So now एक और चीज conception, misconception दूर करना है, that generally believe that people of one gotra must be belonging to the one caste. So it is not the case. So the popular gotras which are there in the north, central, eastern, western India, and in south also some people they do practice the gotra concept. But then in the northern part, what are the famous gotras? Shandilya, Gautam, Kashyap, Bharadwaj. Okay? So Shandilya, Gautam, Kashyap, Bharadwaj. So if I say that, suppose we are taking the example of the Shandilya Gotra, then so Shandilya Gotra, so it does not mean that one caste people will be belonging to only Shandilya and other caste people will be belonging to the Bharadwaj. No, that's not the case. So a Brahman can be Shandilya, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, can also be Shandilya. Then so let's, some of you already know your gotra and some of you already know your caste. So let's do a survey in the class just to make you understand. And then, so very first thing, that how many of you are from Bharadwaj gotra? Raise your hand. So I will count just 1 minute. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. इस साइड में कोई नहीं है? So 15 people, okay? Put down your hand. From the Bharadwaj Gotra, how many of you are Kshatriyas? Raise your hand. Okay? So 1, 2, 3. Kshatriya नहीं, Bharadwaj Gotra वाले Kshatriya. Confuse नहीं होना, ठीक है? अगर जो अपना गोत्र पता नहीं है तो बाहर जाओ, अपने मदर को फोन करो. पूछो मेरा गोत्र क्या है, ठीक है? So 2 people from the backside. And 3, 4. So out of the 15 people, 5 people are Kshatriya, Brahmans of the Bharadwaj Gotra. Okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people. Okay? Then rest would be the Vaishyas. Okay? So this way. So you get, now you got to know that there could be that Bharadwaj Gotra in the Brahman also, in Kshatriya also, in Vaishya also. Okay? I'm not referring to the Shudra. Okay? So we'll tell you later on. So now, generally this is what happens, okay? that anybody could be belonging to any of the gotra. Okay? So initially these were the four most important gotra, and as it is said that out of these all, so that the person who had the highest knowledge was the Gautam. Okay? So Gautam is regarded as the topmost gotra. Okay? Then after Gautam, Shandilya, Kashyap, Bharadwaj. Okay? So Kashyap was the name of the rishi, I hope you know, and Kashyap was regarded as the founder of the Kashmir. Okay? So he is the one that, as per those old notations, then that he established this place for the purpose of the meditation and these all stuff. Then, so these are the things which are mentioned. So later on in the later Vedic times, many other gotras also started to emerge on the basis of the rishi lineage. Then, so this is how the gotra concept got ingrained, and it is still practiced, it is still prevalent in the society. So though the urban space, people generally don't go with this kind of exogamy of the gotra, but particularly in the rural belt of India, still the traditional families, they prefer that the marriage must happen in the different gotra. So जब कुंडली मिलाते हैं तो गुड़ ही नहीं मिलाते हैं, गोत्र is also matched. ठीक है? So गुण, you understand that 36 गुण. ठीक है? So 36 मिल गया तब तो बवाल कट जाएगा. So you know that कि 36 must not be there, because the only kundali which was 36 good matching was the Ram Sita. ठीक है? And it is the ideal for the world. It is said that 36 good milna is the ideal for the world. The person will become ideal for the society, but in their own life they will have so many challenges. ठीक है? तो बहुत कम भी नहीं हो चाहिए. कितने से कम नहीं होना चाहिए? 16 से कम नहीं होना चाहिए. 16 से कम हुआ तो आए दिन झगड़े होंगे. बट 16 से ज्यादा होने पे भी आए दिन झगड़े ही होते हैं. Nothing else happens. ठीक है? So this is the gotra system. ठीक है? Which was consolidated at this time. Now another thing which was firmly consolidated at this time was the samskar. ठीक है? एक बार में लिख लेंगे बाद में, but just give me a minute. So 16 samskar, 16 samskar. So this was also further consolidated in the society. इसमें से भी सब तो नहीं, लेकिन a good number of them are still practiced in the society. Okay? So good number of them. So for example, so what is the samskar? The rituals of the Hindu life. Okay? So the rituals of the Hindu life, so it all starts with the conception of a child. Then, so when a woman conceives a child, so it is called as a garbhadhan samskar. Okay? So after garbhadhan samskar, then what happens? The birth of the child, and after the birth of the child, so there are so many ceremonies which follow the birth of the child. So the very first one is the ceremony in which the child is given some sort of food from outside, and generally what is that? Honey. Okay? So honey and ghee. So this is what is given to it, child. So this is one. Then after the namakaran samskar. Okay? So namakaran, बच्चे को नाम देना. Okay? And then after annaprasan samskar. So annaprasan is what? Solid food. So for the very first time, solid food is given to the child. Then comes the chuda karad samskar. So what is that? The head is shaved off for the child for the very first time. So for the first time, the hairs are cut. So many ceremonies they do follow. But then out of these all ceremonies, then the most important, then the last two and the one which I'm mentioning. So actually the one which I'm mentioning, it is the divide of the life. It is called as upnayan samskar. ठीक है? और कोई word इसके लिए? जनेऊ संस्कार. ठीक है? So all of you must be knowing. So upnayam samskar or janeyu sanskar, it happens with all the children. ठीक है? So what is this? Sacred thread ceremony, and particularly in the Brahmanism that people still carry. ठीक है? Though they still carry that particular thread. So what is it? But it is sacred thread ceremony is performed only by 3 sections of the society. That is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. Shudras don't perform the sacred thread ceremony. And moreover, sacred thread ceremony or Upanayan Samskar is considered as the second birth. Then, so it is considered as the second birth. Before the Upanayan Samskar, you are regarded as a child. ठीक है? That कि जो भी तुम करते हो, ठीक है, माफ कर दिया जाएगा. But then, after the Upanayam Samskar, you will have to fulfill the responsibility of your religious life and your dharmic life, and so as your family life. Okay? So Upanayam Samskar is all about assuming your responsibilities in your household. Then, so that is a new birth, and now you will have to devote a time to the God also. Before that particular Upanayam Samskar, whatever you do, ठीक है, अब murder नहीं, ठीक है, तो वो सब चीज़ें नहीं, बट झूठ बोल दिया, कहीं चले गए, ठीक है, क्रिकेट खेलने चले गए और बोल दिया कि पढ़ाई कर रहा था फ्रेंड के घर, देन सो चलेगा, उतना चलेगा. सो दैट इज बिफोर द उपनयन संस्कार. लेकिन इससे एक और कॉन्सेप्ट एसोसिएटेड है, एंड दैट कॉन्सेप्ट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ द द्विज. So why only Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya? They are entitled to perform this ceremony because they are Dvij. ठीक है? So Dvij का मतलब होता है that overall, so let's understand, as per Hindu system, how many births are possible for a single soul? 84 lakh births are possible. ठीक है? So you must have heard about the word 84 lakh योनीज. सुना है ना? 84 lakh योनीज. ठीक है? इसमें भी अगर जो नहीं समझ है तो यू कैन आस्क योर ग्रैंड मदर. सी मस्ट बी नोइंग देन दैट, उन लोगों को ज्यादा नॉलेज होता है इसका. सो नाउ, so 84 lakh yonis, meaning that it, and what is yoni you have already studied where in Mesolithic painting, batao. Yoni is the sexual organ of the female, and that is also the place of the birth. Then, so the yoni is the dwar of the birth, gateway of the birth. So that's why it is called as the yoni. So now, out of 84 lakh birth, how many birth are human? 1 नहीं, 7. ठीक है? शादी करोगे तो 7 जन्मों के वादे लोगे. अभी बोलो सिर्फ एक ही. So अगले का पता नहीं है. So 7 human birth happens. ठीक है? But then all these 7 human birth, they does not happen कि एक बार 2023 में हुआ और एक बार 24 में, 25 में, 26 में. So it can be separated, ठीक है, in 84 lakh, that 84 lakh permutations and combinations. So now, but these 3 sections of the society, they are Dvij because they got 2 consecutive human birth. So is life, and after the death, next life. So out of the 7, they get 2 consecutive human birth. Then, so this is why they are called as Dvij. Now you understood the concept of Dvij. So they are allowed this particular sacred thread ceremony. Okay? So sacred thread ceremony, and it is one of the very important ceremony in the Hinduism. Okay? Then the last 2 samskar. So as per the systems of those time and beliefs of those time, that last 2 samskars are also very important. And what are the last 2? So the 15th number samskar is Vivaha samskar. Okay? So Vivaha samskar, and the last one is the Antesti samskar. So they say that, as it is mentioned, that if one does not goes through, okay, goes through particularly the initial few and the last 2 samskar, okay, so then he cannot get the moksha. Okay? So the last 2 are very important. Otherwise, person will not get the moksha. Then, and moksha is the highest goal in the Hinduism, salvation. So Antesti. So as you know, Antesti. So what is Antesti? Last rites. And last rites as per the Hindu ritual system. So if your family, okay, if your family or anybody's family, okay, if they are not performing the last rites in the right way, so then what it is said? Atma bhatakti hai. You got it? So then आत्मा को शांति नहीं मिलती है. अब एसोसिएट करो जो रेगुलर लाइफ में बातें यूज करते हो, ठीक है? So आत्मा को शांति नहीं मिलती है, आत्मा भटकती है, meaning that the soul has not got the moksha. That is what is the concept. Then, and what about the marriage samskar? So it is regarded as one of the very important samskar. So basically, what is the concept? Concept is that marriage is a union of the 2 energies. Then, and the union of the 2 energies is the completion of the energies of the cosmic world. Then, so then you are complete. Then, so then you are complete when you go and when you enter into the institution of the marriage. But then I'll tell you that one of the very profound message which is there from the marriage institution. So it is said that after the marriage institution, one of the very important purpose of the marriage is the propitiation of the family, okay? Meaning that advancing the family or giving the birth to the child. So after the marriage, it is the only stage, it is said, that when the human being acquires the traits of the god. What is the trait of the god? To give birth, to give life. It's only after the marriage you become the god, you have the ability to create a new life. Okay? So that's why it is one of the very important thing. So जल्दी से तैयारी करो, सिलेक्शन लो, शादी कर लो, मोक्ष नहीं मिलेगा उसके पहले. So दहेज के चक्कर में बैठे पड़े हो बहुत लोग. बिहार के हो तो पकड़ुआ विवाह हो जाएगा. कुछ मिलेगा भी नहीं. Right. What is the last thing? ठीक है, आश्रम व्यवस्था लिखो. So in the later Vedic time, the first three stages of ashram vyavastha, were formalized. First three stages of ashram vyavastha were formalized. And the last one was consolidated. In the age of Buddha and Mahavir. Then mention. After it you write. So very first one you write brahmacharya. So the first stage of life, brahmacharya. Mention in it. It is a period of education and observation of celibacy. Then celibacy. Then second you write grihastha. So grihastha में लिखो married life and its responsibilities. Married life and its responsibilities. Third, vanaprastha. Forest stage of life and partial retirement from householder life. Partial retirement from householder life. Then last one you write sannyas. Complete retirement from householder life. And striving for enlightenment. Then हो गया? देन इसमें ब्रैकेट्स में लिख लो, इट वॉज फॉर्मलाइज्ड इन द एज ऑफ बुद्धा। दोबारा से लिख रहे हैं क्योंकि कंफ्यूजन नहीं होना चाहिए। दिस क्वेश्चन हैज बीन आस्क्ड इन प्रीलिम्स पेपर प्रीवियसली, ठीक है? सो पीपल जनरली गो विथ ऑल द स्टेजेस इन द लेटर वैदिक टाइम। Then mention, paragraph change karo and then you write. The concept of Gotra was further consolidated. The concept of Gotra was further consolidated at this time. Concept of Gotra was further consolidated at this time. The meaning of the Gotra is spiritual genealogy. I'll write the spelling of genealogy. So spiritual genealogy from a common ancestor. Spiritual genealogy from common ancestor. Then mention. Priestly class came up with many rules associated with Gotra. Priestly class came up with many rules associated with Gotra. Then associated with Gotra. Then mention. They prescribed exogamy of Gotra. They prescribed exogamy of Gotra in matrimonial affairs. Exogamy of Gotra in matrimonial affairs. Then after it you write, so in matrimonial affairs. फिर पैराग्राफ चेंज करो. In this age, the 16 samskar, sanskar बोलते but written as samskar. The 16 samskar or 16 important rituals of Hinduism. 16 important rituals of Hinduism were formalized. Okay. For example, so some names you write in this one, that some of the important samskar I am writing. So Garbhadhan samskar, Rashi samskar. What is Rashi? See, there are two names which are given in the Hinduism. Okay? One is the Rashi name and second is the nickname. Okay? The popular name. So the general prescription is that the Rashi name is a secret name and it is only known to few people, to the parents only. It is only used on the rituals and the occasions, important ceremonies. But the general name would be used for all the purposes. Okay? So Rashi name, then Rashi samskar, and then comes the Namakaran samskar. Annaprasan, Choda Karad, Upanayan. There is a one which is called as Karna Bhedan Samskar. What is it? कान को, हाँ, so कान के में एक छेद बनाना, ठीक है? So Karna Bhedan. So now, what has happened? That generally people in the middle times, what happened that they were not going through this Karna Bhedan, but फिर वापस से start हो गया in hippie culture, ठीक है? So, so उपनयन संस्कार, देन अभी इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा और डिफाइन करेंगे, पहले लिख लो उपनयन, देन विवाह एंड अंत्येष्टि, अंत्येष्टि। देन सीधा सम एग्जाम्पल। अब उपनयन अलग से लिखो, उपनयन संस्कार, and it is also called as sacred thread ceremony, sacred thread ceremony. Mention this samskar is regarded as, this samskar is regarded as second birth of a person, second birth of a person. After the performance of the samskar, after the performance of the sanskar, a person has to assume the responsibility of religious, has to assume the responsibility of religious and householder life. Responsibility of religious and householder life. Householder life. Then उसके अलावा मेंशन करो, only Brahmin, Kshatriya and Vaishya, only Brahman, Kshatriya or Vaishya were entitled for the sacred thread ceremony. Entitled for sacred thread ceremony. Then mention Shudra community. Shudra community needed to pray for the birth, needed to pray for the birth in the upper three varnas, in the upper three varnas, then in the next birth, they can perform this samskar. Then you write full stop के बाद लिखो ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय वैश्य were regarded as द्विज, which means two consecutive human birth. Were regarded as Dvij, which means two consecutive human birth out of 7 human birth. 2 consecutive human birth out of 7 human birth. 7 human birth. Then, so this is what is all about the societal aspect of this time. Okay? So we had n number of the topics in the society. Let's come to the last one, that is the religion during the later Vedic period. So mention religious practices during later Vedic period. Later Vedic period. Then so now So when it comes to the religious practices during the later Vedic period, so the early Vedic gods like Indra, Agni, Varun, Mitra, okay, Pushan, they all have lost their former relevance. Okay? So meaning they are still worshipped, but not like the way they were worshipped in the early Vedic age. Then, so they are not very important gods, but who emerged as the most important god? Brahma. Okay? So Prajapati, Brahma emerged as the most important god, and as the name itself suggests, Prajapati, meaning the creator of the universe. So suppose that if you get a question, okay, in prelims exam, that in which part of the Vedic phase the concept of the Brahma emerged, okay? Early Vedic or later Vedic? Early Vedic. So it was already mentioned in the early Vedic. Okay? What was unknown, what was not to be defined, okay? Which was not in the capacity, which was the ultimate truth, was said as the Brahma in the early Vedic text. So the Brahma is continuing from right from the conception of the Vedic age. It's only at this point of time, later Vedic time, that they started to ascribe Brahma as the creator of the universe. Okay? So Brahma as the creator of the universe. So that is one thing. Another thing is that they also completely formalized the worship of the Rudra and Vishnu. Okay? So worship of the Rudra and Vishnu. So Rudra, form of the Rudra were already there from the time of the early Vedic age, and he was Pushan, he was worshipped in many forms. But then when it comes to the Vishnu, so Vishnu word is derived from the Vrishni. So in fact, in the early Vedic time, there was a worship of the Vrishni, and Vrishni became Vishnu. Okay? So these concepts were firmly formalized at this time. After this, let's come to the purpose of the worship and the mode of the worship. So mode of the worship, still the Vedic sacrifices, rituals are followed. Then there is no that decrement in those. In fact, more sacrifices are happening at this point of time, as you have already noted down, ssMABeugfwGJwFN7FEOh. Okay? So more sacrifices are happening. Then what about the prayers and mantra? Continued. Okay? More prayer and mantra were written and they were recited. So this is continuing. But then when it comes to the purpose of the worship, so though in the initial part of the later Vedic age, the purpose of the worship was the material growth, but in the later part, the spiritual tendencies also started to develop, meaning that the purpose of the worship was spiritual growth. Okay? And it firmly got consolidated at the time of the Buddha, okay, and Mahavir. So एक बार लिखो, you write the early Vedic gods, the early Vedic gods like the early Vedic gods like Indra, Agni, Varun, Marut, lost their former importance, and Prajapati Brahma emerged as the most important god. Prajapati Brahma emerged as the most important god. Then mention, he was regarded as creator of the universe. Then you write full stop के बाद लिखो. Further, the concept of Rudra and Vishnu, was further consolidated. Rudra and Vishnu was further consolidated. And in the later times, they will emerge as the Trinity of God. They will emerge as the Trinity of God. Trinity, Trinity, matlab Tridev. Then mention, paragraph change karo, and you write, the mode of worship at this time was through Vedic sacrifices, rituals, recitation of mantra, prayer, etc. Recitation of mantra, prayer, etc. Mantra, prayer, etc. Then mention further after it, etc. Full stop. In the beginning, objective of worship was material gain. But in the rear part, R-E-A-R, in the rear part of later Vedic period, objective became spiritual growth due to emergence of progressive tendencies in the society. Tendency in society and composition of Upanishads. Done? So this is what is all about this particular part. Okay. So now we are at the juncture where we need to, so 6th century BC. Okay. So this is the time when the later Vedic age has ended and the age of the reform is starting. Okay. So 6th century BC, many developments were there in India. So these developments are the religious reform movements and also the emergence of the Mahajanpad. Okay? So 16 Mahajanpad. So as far as the Buddhism, Jainism is concerned, this topic I don't cover here. Okay? So after completion of your course, when art and culture would be there, so we'll be covering over there Buddhism, Jainism and the philosophies of this time. Okay? So philosophies will also include the Charvak and Ajivika, not just the orthodox Hindu philosophy, which is Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, Mimamsa and Vedanta. So 8 philosophy we will be covering in the culture part. Okay? And so as the Buddhism and Jainism, and ek aur religion would be there, that is Zoroastrianism, which was also the contemporary of the Vedic religion. What is Zoroastrianism? Parsi religion. So these all will be covering over there. But then, for the time being, what we need to write, that in the 6th century BC, emergence of the progressive tendencies is there in the society, and moreover, it has led to the development of the 3 reform tendency, Buddhism, Jainism and Ajivika. Okay? So on one hand, there is an emergence of these religions. On the other hand, the major development in the Indian subcontinent is the emergence of the 16 Mahajanpad in the 6th century BC. So what is Mahajanpad? What is Mahajanpad? What do we understand or what do we mean by the Mahajanpad word? So these are, yes, these are big territorial state. So for example, that in the Vedic time also, the state concept has emerged. Rashtra we mentioned, okay? But now this Rashtra has been further taken into a bigger connotation, and now, so the big territorial states are emerging, and in this territorial state, there would be a well-defined system of administration. Okay? So, as far as the 16 Mahajanpads are concerned, then these 16 Mahajanpad, they had three types of the administration. Majority of them were monarchy, but some of them were oligarchy, and some of them were republic also. Okay? So, for example, Vajji, which is in Bihar area. Okay? So, Vajji was a republic. But then there are oligarchy also, and there are the monarchies also. So, three systems of the administration were there at this point of time. So, these 16 Mahajanpads, they have emerged in the Indian subcontinent, but even touching the Afghanistan. Then, so we need to, so इससे question कैसा आता है? Generally, that initially the question was basically the matchmaking of the capitals they were asking. But nowadays they have also started asking the area where this particular Mahajanpad was there. So we will have to create a map and then we will locate it. Moreover, from where do we get the information of the Mahajanpad? So actually the initial information of the Mahajanpad is all we get from the Buddhist and the Jain literature. Then, so Buddhist text Anguttar Nikay mentions the Mahajanpad, and so as the Bhagavati Sutra of the Jainism mentions Mahajanpad. ठीक है? So Buddhism में दो text है, एक तो Anguttar Nikay and second is the Mahavastu. So they do mention the Mahajanpad history and then the Jainism. So एक बार लिखो पहले. So 6th century BC as a title. 6th century BC. And very first title which will be leaving, which will not be taking into the that going ahead. So rise of religious reform movement. Rise of religious reform movement leading to foundation of Jainism, Buddhism, and Ajivika. So इसको heading करके छोड़ दो. Discussion in the next part. Then, second you write a rise of 16 Mahajanpad. Rise of 16 Mahajanpad. Done? So in this you write, second part you write. In the 6th century BC, in the 6th century BC, 16 big territorial states, 16 big territorial states emerged big territorial states emerged in the Indian subcontinent with well-organized system of administration. With well-organized system of administration. Like monarchy, oligarchy, and republic. Monarchy, oligarchy, and republic. And republic. Then mention. So you're right. The major source of information, the major source of information about Mahajanpad is Buddhist text of Anguttar Nikaya and Mahavastu. Anguttar Nikaya and Mahavastu. And Jain text Bhagavati Sutra. And Jain text Bhagavati Sutra. Bhagavati Sutra. Done? So Jain text of Bhagavati Sutra. So now let's go into the clear. So I'm going to create the map, and in the map we'll be locating all the 16 Mahajanpad. Okay? So it will take a little bit of time. So let's start with it. So one thing you can do, that create the upper part of India and the eastern part को थोड़ा extend कर सकते हो. Normal map से थोड़ा ज़्यादा extend कर सकते हो, because most of the Mahajanpad are there in this area. So I'm extending this part little bit more, क्योंकि फिर हो नहीं पाएगा ना. Just 1 minute. This much is fine. काम हो जाएगा. So now let's go into it. So the rivers that you need to create. So let's start with some of the initial Mahajanpads. What is this? Delhi. Okay. So Delhi, the name of Delhi is Indraprastha. But Indraprastha was part of Kuru. Okay? So Kuru. And the capital is Hastinapur. So capital bhi likh raha hu. So Delhi area is the Kuru or Indraprastha, and capital is the Hastinapur. Then Draupadi belonged to which area? Panchal. Okay? So Panchal is Meerut area. So Meerut se leke foothills of the Haridwar, okay, or foothills of the Uttarakhand. So that area, so here you can create Panchal. सो स्पेस का ख्याल रखना, अदरवाइज जगह नहीं मिलेगा लिखने के लिए. Panchal. What was the capital of Panchal? Two capitals were there. So two capitals were there, Kampilya and Ahichhatra. So create two lines and you mention the two capitals, Kampilya and Ahichhatra. Then after this particular part, let's move further. दिल्ली के थोड़ा सा नीचे, ठीक है, मथुरा. Then, so Mathura area was, so here we can go with Mathura part, and this is Saurasen. Saurasen, and capital of the Saurasen was Mathura itself. Then, so Mathura itself. Then, after this particular part, are you able to identify this part? Just give me 1 minute. This area. So this is Kosal. So I'm going like this way. I'll write over here Kosal, and capital of the Kosal, two capitals. Okay. So north capital Sravasti and south capital Ayodhya was not the name actually. It is Ayodhya, but it was Saket. So two capitals we are mentioning, Shravasti and Saket. Select city walk. Then over here, this one. देखने से क्या लग रहा है, कौन सी जगह होगी? इलाहाबाद, ठीक है. So Allahabad, and Allahabad was Vats Mahajanpad. Vats Mahajanpad. And what is the oldest name of Allahabad? Kaushambi. Kaushambi. So capital was Kaushambi. Then after Allahabad, ठीक है, थोड़ा सा आगे चलते हैं, and so just closer to Allahabad. What is this? Kasi. Kashi, and capital of Kasi is Banaras. Then after Kasi, so this is the place where Mall Mahajanpad. This is the place where Buddha's death has happened, in Malla Mahajanpad. So Malla Mahajanpad's capital, Kushinara, also called as Pava. Kushinara, and some text mention as a Pava also. Then Bihar chale. So ये कुछ ज़्यादा इधर हो गया. So here, this place, what will mention? Vajji. Just give me 1 minute. Vajji, and capital of Vajji was Vaishali. So Vajji is which area? अब कुशीनगर तो हमने बात नहीं की. कुशीनगर is the tri-junction of the UP, Bihar and Nepal. ठीक है? It is the last district of the UP, but it is also the Tarai belt of the Himalayas. ठीक है? So this is the area. Then Vajji, which all places or which all areas will come in Vajji? Mithilanchal of Bihar. ठीक है? Mithilanchal of Bihar, which includes Sitamarhi, Darbhanga, Begusarai, ठीक है? Katihar will also come up to, no, Katihar will not come into this, ठीक है? So particularly in the Vajji one, ठीक है? So these areas would be there in this particular part. Just give me 1 minute. I'll just change the location of this. So what river this I'm creating? Son, good. So now comes your most important Mahajanpad, and you all know Magad. So Magad Mahajanpad, but and what is the initial capital? बाद में तो लिखेंगे Rajgir, ठीक है? So Rajgir was the initial capital. Rajgir was initial capital. Done? Then after, so Magad is basically Patna, Patliputra area, starting from the Patna and going till the Patna, Hajipur, and so as the Rajgir area, ठीक है? Nalanda area, Vikramshila area. So that will come under the Magad. Then comes the next Mahajanpad, which is, okay, so mention over here, and this will cover the area of Bhagalpur and Munger, okay, in Bihar. So Ang Mahajanpad, and capital of Ang was Champa. Then, so capital of Ang was Champa. I have written very clearly this time. Otherwise, I just run through it. ठीक है? मुझे भी अच्छा लग रहा है. So, मैं भी फोटो खींच के रख लूँगा. तुम लोग तो रखते ही हो. So then over here, there is Mahajanpad. So this is Bundelkhand area of the UP and also touching the MP. ठीक है? So Bundelkhand part is known as Chedi Mahajanpad. ठीक है? And capital of the Chedi Mahajanpad is Suktimati. Suktimati. Then come to Jaipur. So pink city in pink, Delhi se Jaipur. So this is Matsya Mahajanpad. Matsya Mahajanpad, and the capital of the Matsya was Virat Nagar. Virat Nagar. Then let's go to Pakistan and Afghanistan. So now over here, Pakistan and Afghanistan border, and this is the area of the Cambodge. Cambodge, and the capital is the Rajpura. Rajpura. Then one of the very prominent area was Gandhar. So this is the Mahajanpad of Gandhar, and capital of Gandhar is Takshashila. ठीक है? How we write? Taxila. Then, So I think 14 हो चुका होगा, ठीक है? 2 more are remaining, Avanti and Asmak. So first I'll create Asmak. So from the Godavari river, which is going in the southern direction, so Asmak is on the banks of Godavari river in Maharashtra. Asmak, and capital of Asmak was Potana. Potna. And then comes the last. So last is Avanti. Avanti is starting from Ujjain till Hyderabad. Okay? So Ujjain to Hyderabad is Avanti, and 2 capitals. North is Ujjain. So north capital Ujjain, south capital Maheshmati. So the Telangana one, the Telangana capital was the Maheshmati, and then the Ujjain was the northern capital. So these are the Mahajanpads of this time. I think I have given you enough time to write this slowly. No, it's all fine, it's all visible. I don't think that we need to change anything in it. Files, collaboration. I will save this file. Generally what happened that यहाँ पे space नहीं बचता है for writing, ठीक है? So now it's clearly visible to you. Areas are also visible to you, ठीक है? So 3 type of the questions or 2 type of the questions could be there: matchmaking of the capitals and the areas, ठीक है? So out of it, ठीक है? So now just listen. So out of all these Mahajanpads, in the beginning, Magad was not the most powerful. Then it was an important Mahajanpad, but it was not very powerful. The most powerful Mahajanpad were Kasi, Kosal, ठीक है? And Avanti. So Kasi, Kosal and Avanti were the very powerful Mahajanpads in the beginning, ठीक है? But later on what has happened, that it is the Magad which has emerged as the most powerful Mahajanpad. And over the period what it has done, that Magad has completely annexed all the Mahajanpads. Okay? So it has completely annexed all the Mahajanpads. So now the next title is basically about that how Magad emerged as most powerful Mahajanpad. Okay? So एक title लिखो, mention. I'm not disturbing this part. तो बस title लिखो, mention. Emergence of Magad as most powerful Mahajanpad. Emergence of Magad as most powerful Mahajanpad. Done? So now, just listen. So as we mentioned that Kasi, Kosal were very powerful. The reason of the Kasi, Kosal, because Kosal, which is the Ayodhya to Shravasti area, and it is also the area of the Ghagra. In Ayodhya, Ghagra is called as Saryu. Okay? So this is a very fertile belt, and moreover, that agricultural production was very high. In fact, both Kasi and Kosal were important textile production areas also. Okay? So Kasi and Kosal, they were rich because of the textile. Avanti was also quite powerful because its expanse was very big. But then what happened? That Magad emerged as the most powerful. As far as the Magad emergence is concerned, it is from the age of the Mahabharata. So later on when we are going to talk about the different dynasties of the Magad, so very first that we mentioned was the Haryanka. बट उसके पहले इतना ध्यान होना चाहिए कि देयर इज अ रेफरेंस ऑफ द मगध इन महाभारत वेयर ऑलरेडी इट इमर्ज्ड ड्यूरिंग द महाभारत एज एंड Jarasandh and Brihadarath were the founder of the Magad in the Mahabharata age. But the firm consolidation has happened at the time of the 6th century BCE. Okay? So what are the reasons that why Magad became very powerful? So all of you are done with it. I'm not removing, erasing it, but मुझे space चाहिए इसमें for writing. So just give me 1 minute. So the Magad capital was Rajgir. Then Rajgir was also known as, popular name was Giri Vraj. Then if you go by this particular word Giri, so in Odisha, in Bihar, in Bengal, Giri का मतलब होता है mountain, ठीक है? कुछ जगह मूंगफली को भी बोलते हैं गिरी, ठीक है? बादाम को भी बोलते हैं गिरी, हाँ. But then here it is the mountain. Now, so Rajgir was surrounded by 5 mountain ranges. Then, and these 5 mountain ranges provided automatically it was protected and secured from any invasion. Then, so any invasion, because they are holding the high positions, and from the high position it is often easy to locate the enemy and destroy the enemy. Then, so this was one of the safest capital at that time. Then, and generally in those ages, कि capital को capture कर लिया तो महाजनपद capture हो गया. This is how the things were happening in those time. So this is the very first thing, that its capital was strategically located. But then there were many factors which led to the growth of the Magad as powerful. So the second thing, that when we look at the area of the Magad, it was heavily forested. Heavily forested, and moreover, that particularly it is the zone of the Ganga river, and so many rivers are there from the Himalaya, which are transcendent rivers of the Himalaya, meaning that crossing all the ranges of Himalaya, bringing the fertile soil, so heavy forest. So it was the source of very good quality of timber. And why? So which timber from India is considered as good? As you know that this belt of India is known for 2 types of forest. Then what are those? Moist deciduous monsoon forest and dry deciduous monsoon forest. Then, so the wood of the dry deciduous and moist deciduous are considered as the strongest. Then, and which are those woods? Teak, sesame. Okay? So huge teak sesame. Okay? Sesame plantations were there, forests were there, and they were used by the Magad people. So for example, just for a survey, question नहीं पूछ रहा हूँ. How many of you are from Patna? Specifically Patna. So good number of people are from Patna. You must have visited Kumrar Park. कुछ लोग के घर के बगल में होता है फिर भी नहीं जाते हैं, ठीक है? तो हाँ, you must have visited Kumrar Park. Kumrar Park is basically the Maurya's palatial buildings, ठीक है? अभी भी जाके वहाँ देखोगे, what you'll find? Timber, ठीक है? लकड़ी के बने हुए महल थे वहाँ पे. Then, so actually the Mauryan palaces, ठीक है? Mauryan buildings, they were totally created from the timber which they got from the heavy forest. I'll tell you one more thing, that the Patna वाले लोग हो गए, ठीक है? Then there are some districts in Bihar which were actually named after the forest. I'll tell you which are districts, and some of you might be from those districts. So these all terminology, it came from the time of the Mauryas itself, and the districts are Champaran, Ara, and Saran. They are all derived from the name, original name, Champaranya, Aranya, Saranya. And what is Aranya? In all of it, forest. Okay? So they were the heavily forested areas of the Bihar. Then Champaranya, Aranya का मतलब ही होता है forest. Then so that's how when the forest was clear, so Aranya was removed, ठीक है, and आगे का part बच गया. So Champaranya became Champaran, Aranya became Ara, and Saranya became Saran. Then so The timber was one of the very important thing that they have got. Okay? Rest of the Mahajanpadas, they didn't had this kind of good quality timber. Then and Mauryas traded the timber also. Then apart from it, as we were mentioning about the rivers, so Bihar is a plenty with the many river channels. Then and these all since Himalayan rivers, so साल भर पानी होता है, ठीक है? So here that these are the perennial rivers, not ephemeral. So a plenty of water is there, and when a plenty of water is there, so the river is navigable. Then, so Mauryas, rather than building, investing on construction of the roads, they rather preferred the river navigation for trade, commerce, contact, attack, okay, everything. Then, so they preferred, and that's how the cost saving was also there. Then, and moreover, all the other Mahajanpas, they don't have this much kind of access to the water, but they did had. Then apart from it, the next is that when we look at the location of the Magad, in the upper chart itself, you see, okay? Location of the Magad, and Magad starting from the Patna, but going till the entire Jharkhand. And it is the abode of the iron. Then, so Chota Nagpur plateau, and the iron was heavily used in this area. In fact, there used to be many tribes of this area who were having the expertise in the iron and having the expertise in the iron smelting, and so as the creating many weapons from it. So now with the iron, they created very good quality, very sharp tools, and they edged out all the other Mahajanpas in terms of their tools and implements. Then, so this is one factor. Another thing, that the Magad rulers, okay, they were highly enterprising in nature. Then, so highly enterprising in nature, and they always preferred that the enterprise or commerce rather than religion. So religion came at the, rules of the religion came at the second place, commerce and business came at the first place. So they were unorthodox also. In this regard, I need to tell you one example. Example is that by this point of time, when Mauryas have come to power, basically, ठीक है? ये जो भी characteristic हम बता रहे हैं, सब मौर्य के time पे हुआ है, majority of it, ठीक है? So when Mauryas came to power, so what happened? That time, Hindu society was ordained by religious text Dharma Shastra. Then, so religious text Dharma Shastra, there were many rules which were mentioned in the Dharma Shastra. So for example, taking interest on the loan was forbidden in the Dharma Shastra. So if you have given loan to somebody, forget it. ठीक है? Forget it किस लिए? कि देखो interest होगा तो that basic amount also you'll be asking. ठीक है? But interest नहीं होगा तो basic amount तो मिलना ही नहीं है. ठीक है? So now, and it is also not very that enticing that somebody will give you loan and then you cannot take the interest. So why the hell you will be giving the loan to somebody? Okay. So this was forbidden in the Dharma Shastra. But the second was that trade of liquid through liquid, okay, and trade in liquid was not allowed. Right? So what does it mean? So trade through liquid, meaning they cannot use river channels. They cannot use port areas. They cannot do the transport from the ports, and sea transport cannot happen. Then, so this is one part. Then trade of liquid. You cannot sell oil. You cannot sell chemicals. You cannot sell anything which has a liquid texture, including the milk. You cannot do the trade according to it. Okay? So trade of liquid and trade in liquid, okay, was also not allowed. Okay? So liquid ke badle liquid. So nothing was allowed. But then Mauryas, they did not paid any heed, or basically Magad rulers did not paid any heed to these all rules, and they better preferred their commerce and enterprise. While rest of the Mahajanpadas, they were following, but they did not follow this rule. So counting these all reasons, they progressed to the very powerful position. Okay? So mention, you write one by one. Number one, you write Magad capital Rajgir. Magad capital Rajgir was strategically located. Magad capital Rajgir was strategically located and then mention it was surrounded by 5 mountains. It was surrounded by 5 mountains which provided natural protection to the capital. Done. Then mention number 2. Magad had large number of river channels. Magad had large number of river channels and all of them were navigable. Navigable. Full stop. Magad rulers preferred transport and communication through these river channels. Then number next one you write. Magad was heavily forested. Which was a good source of high quality timber. They traded timber with far-flung areas. Then mention. Magad had huge abode of iron. With which they created. Magad had huge abode of iron with which they created very good quality sharp tools. Then sharp tools. Then mention after it. Very good quality sharp tools. Then next you write. Last but not the least, reason of their strength was their unorthodox nature. And highly enterprising rulers. Highly enterprising rulers. Then फिर लिखो mention unorthodox nature and highly enterprising rulers. Full stop. Magad rulers did not paid any heed. To the rules mentioned in the Dharma Shastra. Comma, which was hindrance to their commerce and business. Done? Got it? So this is what is about that the emergence of the Magad as the most powerful Mahajanpad. So now we are entering into the dynastic details of the Magad. Okay? So Let's start with the very first dynasty, Haryanka. Take it. Not giving you a break. You know it. And I hope you must have got the message that the class was from 9:30. So mention. So you can write Magad history. Magad history, and in this, the first dynasty, Haryanka dynasty. Haryanka dynasty. So who was the first ruler? Bimbisar. Okay. So Bimbisar was the first ruler. Timeline 554 to 492. Then, so listen. So Bimbisar was the founder of this dynasty in the Magad, though the origin of the Magad is based in the Mahabharat age. So Bimbisar came to power, and then after. So it is for him to expand the Magad, and what all strategies he will follow. So he was very calculative, he was intelligent enough to expand his kingdom through the policy of the military expansion and so as the matrimonial alliance. Then, so one of the adjacent Mahajanpad to the Magad was Ang. Then, so Ang, Bhagalpur Munger area. So he militarily annexed Ang from the Brahmadatt. And then after, one of his son, whose name was Ajatshatru, in the later times he was appointed as the governor of the Ang. Then, now as far as the matrimonial alliance is concerned, so he performed 3 marriages to expand and build friendly relations of his with the powerful kingdoms. So the very first important marriage was the Mahakoshal Devi. Okay? So Mahakoshal Devi of Kasi. Name is Mahakoshal Devi, but originally Kasi. Okay? So she was the sister of the ruler of the Kasi, Prasenjit. Then another very important marriage, that was a very powerful area, Lichavi. Okay? Lichavi was one of the confederacy in the Vajji. Okay? So Vajji was a republic. As you can see this map. So Vajji, which we have written, Vajji was actually a confederacy of the 8 confederacies were there, combined together they came to be known as a republic. Okay? So in the 8 confederacies, the most powerful was Lichavi, and actually the capital of the Vajji, which is Vaisali, was also the capital of the Lichavi. Okay? So now he got married to the Chellana of the Lichavi, and the king of the Lichavi was Chetak. Okay? So king of Lichavi, Chetak, and Chetak is quite a popular in many ways. So for example, that daughter of the Chetak was Chellana, who got married to Bimbisar, but then the sister of the Chetak, her name was Trishala. Okay? Trishala was the mother of the Vardhaman Mahavir. Okay? So Vardhaman Mahavir. So this question has also been asked in the prelims paper. इसमें ये पूछा था कि which of the following statements are correct, and they asked, so they changed the statement that Chellana was the sister of the Chetak and Trishala was the daughter of the Chetak. So statements they exchanged, and then both of them were incorrect. So now, so second marriage is this. Third marriage he did in the Punjab. Okay? And the Punjab at that point of time was known as Madra. Then, so a lady whose name was Khema, and he got married to Madra. So now he had a friendly relation in the eastern India, and so as in the northwestern part of India. Now, one more thing which has happened at his point of time. So as we mentioned that most powerful, one of the most powerful Mahajanpad in the beginning was Avanti. Avanti ruler was Chand Pradyot. But then Magad did not share any good relation with the Avanti. Now a news came that Avanti ruler Chand Pradyot was suffering from some sort of incurable disease, and actually it was jaundice. So during at this point of time, in the court of the Bimbisar, there was a very famous physician who was also the disciple of the Buddha. Then the name of the physician was Jivak. Then so now Bimbisar has sent Jivak to Avanti to treat Chandapradyot. Then and as the treatment happened, so Chandapradyot was relieved from the pain, and finally the very friendly relation developed between the two kingdoms. Then so he is more resorting to the friendly relations with the kingdoms. Then so this is one part. Another part of his life is basically Buddha's part. Buddha was the contemporary of the Bimbisar, and moreover that there happened a meeting of the Buddha and Bimbisar also. So he paid huge reverence to Buddha when he arrived in the city of the Vaishali. Then, so this is what is about this particular part. Now, understand what happened after it. In 492, his son, okay, Ajatashatru, who was son from the Chellana, then, and he wanted to become the ruler. He was aspiring to become the ruler. He was also very powerful guy. But then Bimbisar was also powerful. And as you see his timeline, more than 60 years he is ruling the area. Okay? So obviously that there is a long wait, and Ajatashatru performed the patricidal. Okay? So what is that? Patricide. Fratricide. Okay? Not patricide. Fratricide. That is the murder of his father. Okay? And that was, in those days, that was considered as a sin in the society. Okay? So many of the people got offended with this act of the Ajatashatru, including his own mother's side. Okay? Lichavi. Then so after this, the fight will be happening with the Lichavi and Kasi. We'll mention that fight. So likho, mention karo that Brihad Rath and Jarasandh. Brihad Rath and Jarasandh were the original founders of Magad. Brihad Rath and Jarasandh were the original founders of Magad in Mahabharat age. In Mahabharat age. Then likho. Bimbisar was the founder of Haryanka dynasty. Bimbisar was the founder of Haryanka dynasty in Magad. Haryanka dynasty in Magad. Then mention. Bimbisar was the founder of Haryanka dynasty in Magad. Full stop. He also consolidated the position of Magad. He also consolidated the position of Magad through military and military annexation and matrimonial policy. Through military annexation and matrimonial policy. Matrimonial policy. Full stop. Then उसके बाद लिखो. He militarily annexed Ang Mahajanpad. He militarily annexed Ang Mahajanpad. Ang Mahajanpad. Then you mention. Next, Ang Mahajanpad. Later, Ang was placed under the governorship of his son Ajatashatru. Under the governorship of his son Ajatashatru. Then mention Ajatashatru, full stop. He also performed matrimonial alliance whereby, so write these names which I am writing on board. So whereby he married Chellana of Lichavi, Chellana of Lichavi, ब्रैकेट्स में लिख सकते हो, daughter of Chetak, daughter of Lichavi king Chetak. Then number 2, Mahakosal Devi, Mahakosal Devi of Kasi, sister of Prasenjit. Then Khema from Madra, and Madra is Punjab. Khema from Madra. Mention. Magad did not shared. Magad did not shared any good relation with Avanti. Any good relation with Avanti. Full stop. At this time, any good relation with Avanti. At this time, Avanti ruler Chand Pradyot was suffering from jaundice. Was suffering from jaundice. Full stop. Bimbisar sent the famous physician. Bimbisar sent the famous physician Jeevak to cure Chand Pradyot. To cure Chand Pradyot. Then, to cure Chand Pradyot, it led to development of friendly relation. It led to development of friendly relation of Magad. Friendly relation of Magad with Avanti. Magad with Avanti. Then, next you write, Bimbisar was contemporary of Buddha. Bimbisar was contemporary of Buddha and paid huge reverence. Bimbisar was contemporary of Buddha and paid huge reverence to Buddha. Then, full stop. In 492, he was assassinated by his son, Ajat-Shatru. He was assassinated by his son, Ajat-Shatru. Ajat-Shatru. So mention 492 to 460. Ajat-Shatru. So, as we mentioned that Ajat-Shatru, he fought with that he killed his father, and then soon after, there was a breakout of the war from the Lichavi side and so from the Kasi side. Okay? So now he is facing a two-front war. So initially what he did, that he comfortably defeated Kasi ruler Prasenjit, and then there was a treaty between the two. Okay? So a peace conciliation happened between the two. Prasenjit accepted it, and he also married his daughter to the Ajatashatru. Then this is one part. But then Lichavi, which was the original maternal kingdom of the that Ajatashatru. So here he did not kind of gave them any such kind of relief, and he completely destroyed the Lichavi capital Vaishali. Okay? Apart from it, this battle is mainly noted for something else. Then, and what is this? That Ajatashatru, he used two innovative war engines in this particular battle to defeat the Lichavis. Okay? So what was that innovative engine? So the number one is called as Ratha Musala. Then, so Ratha Musala, it was an interesting thing. Okay? Let me create one image of it. It will seem like a car to you. I'm good in drawing. So, Ratha Musala had two elements. Then, one, there used to be a mace like this, and there used to be swords like this. And these were, so this is a chariot which has this kind of engine in the front, and it has a mace and a kind of a dagger attached to it, which was revolving. Then, anyone? Yes. So actually, the movie is inspired from it. And in fact, in reality, you know that majority of the people, those who are the story writers, screen creators, directors, they also have a hell lot of understanding of the history. Okay? See, those who have the understanding of the history, they are the one who can little bit do the tinkering with the history. Okay? So thoda bahut dramatize karke they do. So for example, I'm telling you just a example. Okay? The guy who created this particular movie, Gangs of Wasepur, bata? Anurag Basu. He was also a UPSC aspirant. I hope all of you know. And we, that in the initial period of our preparation, we have met in the Mukherjee Nagar. He used to live in the SFS. SFS is one such area in the Mukherjee Nagar and SFS flats. So then, failed in UPSC and then gained in somewhere else. Then, so anyways, so now, so they also do have a good understanding of the history, and that's how they use these information from the history. So very first thing, that the city was named Maheshmati. Okay? It is taking from the Ujjain, okay? Avanti. And then this particular Rathamusal was also inspired from it. But not just this, but the second war engine was also inspired from it, which is called as Mahashilkantak. Mahashilkantak. Then, and what was Mahashilkantak? So it was a flexible platform. Okay? So it was a flexible platform which has a flexible rope, and then this flexible rope was used to catapult stones on the army. Okay? So stones in the army. So some sort of inspiration. Can you see that? I think in the second part you have seen. Okay? So yes. So second part. So this is also inspired from the Ajatashatru episode itself. So likho, ek baar likho, mention karo. Ajatashatru faced challenge. Ajatashatru faced challenge from Kasi and Lichavi. Kasi and Lichavi. Then mention after it. He thoroughly defeated Kasi ruler Prasenjit. He thoroughly defeated Kasi ruler Prasenjit and agreed for treaty. Then agreed for treaty, whereby he married daughter of Prasenjit. whereby he married daughter of Prasenjit. Then mention. He completely destroyed, paragraph change करके लिखना, he completely destroyed Lichhavi capital Vaishali. He completely destroyed Lichhavi capital Vaishali, and in this war, he used two innovative war engines. In this war, he used two innovative war engines, that is, so mention, number one, Rath Musala. Rath Musala. Then, you write, in a chariot, a revolving mace and sword was attached. Revolving mace and MACE, Gada. Okay? So mace and sword was attached. Okay? Then number two, Mahashil Kantak. Mahashil Kantak. It was a flexible platform. It was a flexible platform to catapult stones on enemy. To catapult stones on enemy. Then, so this is one part of it. Then Ajatashatru was also contemporary of the Buddha. Then, and moreover, he has also met Buddha. In fact, he also became an ardent follower of the Buddha. So in 483, when the death of the Buddha has happened, so when the Buddhist followers, Buddhist disciples, they have persuaded Ajatashatru, so he convened the first Buddhist council at Rajagriha. Okay? So Rajagriha. Details in the Buddhism. Okay? So we'll be counting the details in the Buddhism. Then, after it, he has taken a decision that he will be transferring the capital from Patliputra, from this area to Patliputra. But then the decision was not implemented. Before that, his death has happened. So finally, after him, the next ruler was Udain. Then, so Udain was the one who constructed the beautiful city of the Patliputra. So mention, you write, Ajatashatru was also the contemporary of Buddha. Ajatashatru was also the contemporary of Buddha, and an ardent follower of Buddha. Ardent follower of Buddha. Full stop. Then mention. After the death of Buddha in 483 BC, he convened the first Buddhist council. He convened the first Buddhist council at Rajagriha. Rajagir or Rajagriha, both are same. Take it? So Rajagriha, full stop. Then you write, he decided to shift the capital to Patliputra. He decided to shift the capital to Patliputra, but his death happened. Then mention. He was succeeded by Udain. He was succeeded by Udain, who constructed. He was succeeded by Udain, who constructed the beautiful city of Patliputra. Who constructed the beautiful city of Patliputra. Done? So now listen, that when it comes to the next part, basically, last ruler. So the last ruler of the Haryanka dynasty, his name was Nag Dasak. Okay? So Nag Dasak in 412 BC, he was killed by his own minister, whose name was Sishunag. Interesting. Nag Dasak was hissed by Shishunag. Okay? So interesting, याद रहेगा ऐसे तुम्हें ना, that the one who is known for Dasna was dust by. अच्छी हिंदी है अंग्रेजी के मिक्सर के साथ, ठीक है? So Shishunag killed him, and then he founded Sashunag dynasty in the Magad. But then this dynasty, so when it comes to Shishunag, he was the first ruler, and during his tenure, only that one important success was there, that he's completely defeated Avanti and mixed it in the Magad. ठीक है? So पहले friendly relation था, now it became the part of the Magad. Moreover, he has also decided to shift the capital from Patliputra to Vaishali. ठीक है? So Patliputra to Vaishali. So Vaishali is going to become the third capital of the Magad. ठीक है? फिर वापस से वैशाली से ट्रांसफर होगा पाटलिपुत्र. ठीक है? And then Patliputra would be a stable capital. ठीक है? So this is one part. After the death of the Sashunag, the next ruler was Kalashok. Okay? So Kalashok was also known as Kak Vardan. Then maybe his skin color must have been the Kak color. What is Kak? Kaua. Okay? So Kak Vardan. Now, so as far as his details are concerned, so he convened the second Buddhist council. Okay? So second Buddhist council and 383 BC at Vaishali. Then so developments we will see in the Buddhism. But then understand, so elimination of the Kalashok, how it happened. It is said that Kalashok has extramarital affair with one Shudra lady, and the name of the lady was the name of the lady was the Padma. Now what happened? So a son was born from that union. And then there came a time that when they asked for a share in the administration. His son asked, we can say illegitimate son. So he asked for a share in the administration, which was completely refused by Kalashok, and that offended him. So one fine day he entered into the palace and he killed Kak Vardan or Kalashok. And the guy was Mahapadma Nand. Okay? But then, since he was born from a mother who was a Shudra, so he never took a title. That he decided that he will take the revenge from the Kshatriyas of the Magad. And then he is on a spree of taking the revenge and elimination of the Kshatriyas from the Magad. So we'll talk about the Nanda in the next class, but abhi Sashunag wala likho. So mention, you write, the last ruler of Haryanka dynasty, Nag Dasak was killed by his minister Sishunag. Was killed by his minister Sishunag, who founded Sashunag dynasty. Who founded Sashunag dynasty in Magad. Then 412 to 344. Then mention, अब इसमें लिखो थोड़े बहुत details. Sishunag completely annexed the province of Avanti. Completely annexed the province of Avanti. and also shifted capital of Magad to Vaishali. Capital of Magad to Vaishali. Then you write capital of Magad to Vaishali, full stop. He was followed by Kalashok. He was followed by Kalashok or Kakvardan. Kakvardan. Mention. Then mention. After it, Kalashok convened Second Buddhist Council in 383 BC at Vaishali. Which led to division in Buddhism. Then mention after it. Then likho. Later, he was assassinated by Mahapadmanand. He was assassinated by Mahapadmanand, who was believed to be illegitimate son. Mahapadmanand, who was believed to be illegitimate son of Kalashok. Then, so we'll talk about the Nanda dynasty next week. Schedule आ गया? आ जाएगा. ठीक है. So next week we'll be covering the part of this particular Nanda dynasty and we'll start with the Mauryas. ठीक है. चलो, thank you.